You get $50,000, Grandpa. My grandson Marcus smirked, already counting the $6 million construction empire I had built from dirt and sweat. I said nothing, just watched. When the lawyer opened the sealed envelope on day 30, Vanessa's champagne glass shattered on the marble floor. I was standing beside my wife Margaret's hospital bed when I first saw it. The look, that calculating gleam in Marcus's eyes as he asked the doctor, "How long does she have?" Not with grief, with impatience. Like he was waiting for a delayed shipment. Margaret squeezed my hand. She saw it too. 3 months, the doctor said. Pancreatic cancer. My wife of 42 years, gone in 90 days. Marcus didn't visit much after that first week. Too busy, he said. Important meetings. Growing the family business I had handed him on a silver platter when he turned 35. But Vanessa came. His wife, 28 years old, designer everything, nails sharp enough to gut a fish. She perched on the visitor chair like a crow on a fence post, scrolling through her phone while Margaret slept. Robert. She didn't look up when she said my name. We need to talk about arrangements. Arrangements? I was wiping Margaret's forehead with a cool cloth. My wife's fever had been bad that morning, after. Still looking at her screen. The house is too big for you alone. There are excellent senior communities. 24-hour care. You'd be much safer. Margaret's eyes opened. Just slits. But I saw the fury there. That same fire that had driven her to work construction sites when women weren't welcome. That had made her pick up a hammer when I broke my back falling off scaffolding in '92. That had built Hamilton Construction from a one-truck operation into something worth millions. I'm not going anywhere, I said quietly. Vanessa finally looked at me. Smiled. The kind of smile a shark gives before it strikes. We'll see. Margaret died on a Tuesday morning. Pneumonia, officially. But I think she just got tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of watching what our grandson had become. Her last words to me were, "Protect it, Robert. Don't let them destroy what we built." I didn't understand what she meant. Not then. The funeral was a circus. Marcus rented the biggest venue in town. Ordered flowers Margaret would have hated. White roses and lilies. Margaret loved wildflowers. Daisies. Sunflowers. The simple things. But Marcus wanted impressive. Wanted people from the Chamber of Commerce to see that Hamilton Construction could afford the best. He gave the eulogy. 15 minutes about what an inspiration his grandmother was. How she taught him everything about business. He didn't mention the 20 years he spent partying through college while Margaret and I worked 70-hour weeks. Didn't mention that he only joined the company 5 years ago when his tech startup crashed. Not once did he mention my name. At the reception, I stood in the corner near the cheap coffee urn. Watching. People came up to Marcus like he was the grieving widower. Shaking his hand. Offering condolences. I was invisible. Just like I'd been for 43 years. "Mr. Hamilton?" A woman's voice. Young. I turned to find a lawyer. Mid-30s, sharp suit, carrying a leather briefcase that looked older than she was. "I'm Sophie Chen. Your wife hired me 3 months ago." "Sophie?" I stared. "Little Sophie, who used to play in the construction yard." She smiled. "Not so little anymore. I need you to come to my office tomorrow. 10 a.m. Don't tell Marcus. Don't tell anyone." Before I could ask why, she disappeared into the crowd. That night, Marcus and Vanessa came to the house. My house. The 4-bedroom Craftsman Margaret and I had bought in 1981 for $68,000. Worth almost $2 million now, according to Vanessa, who had done the research. "Grandpa." Marcus poured himself my bourbon without asking. 20-year Pappy Van Winkle. Gift from a contractor friend. "We need to discuss your living situation. I live here." I was washing dishes. Margaret's funeral dishes. Casserole dishes people had brought and would never pick up. Alone. At 68. Vanessa was walking through the rooms like an appraiser, running her fingers over Margaret's antique credenza, my mother's china cabinet. "What if you fall? What if you have a stroke? You could lie here for days. I have neighbors." "That Chinese lady?" Vanessa's lip curled. "She's 80 if she's a day. What help would she be?" Mrs. Chen was 72, sharper than most 30-year-olds. a retired orthopedic surgeon who had immigrated from Taiwan in the 70s. But to Vanessa, she was just that Chinese lady. Marcus slammed his glass down. "Dad's being stubborn. We're trying to help. I'm not your dad." My voice came out harder than I intended. "Your father was my son Thomas. Dead 15 years. Heart attack at 43 because he worked himself into the ground building this company." Silence. "Sorry." Marcus didn't sound sorry. "Grandpa. Whatever. Point is, you can't stay here alone. We found a great place. Sunrise Senior Living. They have activities, nurses, chef-prepared meals. I can cook. Can you?" Vanessa picked up one of Margaret's ceramic roosters from the kitchen windowsill. "Depression glass. Worth maybe 5,000 to the right collector. When's the last time you made yourself a real meal? You're losing weight, Robert. You need supervision." I dried my hands slowly, carefully. "Is this about the house?" "It's about your safety." Marcus stood up, tried to put his hand on my shoulder. I stepped away. "But yes, practically speaking, this house is a lot of equity sitting dormant. We could sell it, put you in Sunrise, and the remaining money could be reinvested. Into the business. Help it grow. The business is fine." "Is it?" Vanessa sat on my kitchen table. Disrespectful. Margaret would have scolded her. "Marcus says the industry is changing. You guys built houses. That's old school. The money now is in commercial development. Mixed-use properties. We need capital to pivot." "We." She said we. Like she had anything to do with Hamilton construction. Like she'd ever touched a hammer or read a blueprint. "I'll think about it," I said. They left unhappy. I heard Vanessa in the driveway, her voice carrying through the open window. "He's being difficult. We need to push harder. Get him declared incompetent if we have to." That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in the bed Margaret and I had shared for 4 decades. Her side still smelled like her lavender lotion. I stared at the water stain on the ceiling. It looked like a bird. "A crane," Margaret used to say. I told her I'd fix it. Never did. At 9:45 the next morning, I drove to Sophie Chen's office. Small place, above a deli. The kind of lawyer who does good work, cheap for people who can't afford the big firms. I climbed the narrow stairs, knees aching, and knocked. Sophie opened the door herself. "Mr. Hamilton, come in." The office was cramped but organized. Law books floor to ceiling, a desk covered in files but somehow neat. She poured me coffee in a chipped mug that said "World's Okayest Lawyer." "Your wife came to see me in June," Sophie said without preamble. "She knew she was dying. She knew what Marcus was becoming. And she wanted to make sure you were protected." She opened a safe behind a terrible painting of a lighthouse, pulled out a document, placed it in front of me. "This is Margaret's will, the real one, not the one that will be read at the lawyer's office next week." I stared at the papers. "I don't understand." "Your wife was smart, Mr. Hamilton. Brilliant, actually. She set up a test. A trap, if you want to call it that." Sophie pulled out a second document. "The will that Marcus knows about leaves him the company. Leaves you this house and $50,000. Just enough to seem fair, but not generous." That sounds like Margaret. My throat was tight. She always wanted Marcus to have the company. Carry on the Hamilton name. "But there's a condition. A clause that won't be revealed for 30 days. Sophie's eyes were fierce. Reminded me of her mother, who had worked for us as a bookkeeper for 20 years. Same determination. If Marcus demonstrates within 30 days of Margaret's death any behavior that could be considered coercive, abusive, or disrespectful toward you, documented by appointed witnesses, the inheritance is void. Void? Everything goes to you. The company, the properties, the investments, all $6.2 million. Marcus gets the $50,000. Same as what you were supposed to get." The room spun. Margaret did this? She loved him. But she loved you more, and she wasn't going to let him destroy you to get rich. Sophie leaned forward. "Mr. Hamilton, I need you to understand something. Your wife knew. She discovered that Marcus has been embezzling from the company for the past 2 years. Small amounts at first, then larger. She hired a forensic accountant. Marcus has diverted almost $800,000 into cryptocurrency accounts Vanessa controls. I felt like I'd been hit with a sledgehammer. Margaret didn't report him because he's family, but she wasn't going to reward him either. Sophie pulled out more papers. Statements, transfers, all in Marcus's handwriting. She hired me to document everything, set up the conditional clause, and appointed me as executor with the power to observe and record your interactions with Marcus for 30 days. Record? Sophie pulled out a small device. Audio recorder. With your permission, I'd like to install cameras in your house. Hidden. Just for the next month. If Marcus behaves with decency and respect, he gets the company as planned. If not, she didn't finish. I thought about Vanessa's words. Get him declared incompetent if we have to. Thought about Marcus pouring my bourbon without asking. The funeral where I didn't exist. The way they looked at my home like it was already theirs. Do it, I said. Sophie worked fast. By that afternoon, there were cameras in the living room, kitchen, and study. Tiny things, professional grade. She also gave me a recording device disguised as a watch. Wear this always when Marcus visits. It's voice activated. She showed me how it worked. You don't have to do anything dramatic. Just live your life. Be yourself. Let Marcus show who he is when he thinks nobody's watching. That week, the official will reading happened. Marcus's lawyer, Harrison Wade, had an office downtown in one of those glass towers that scream money. I arrived 15 minutes early. Marcus and Vanessa rolled in 20 minutes late. She wore a black dress cut too low for a will reading. Red nails like blood. Harrison read the will in that dry lawyer voice. Margaret's estate, approximately $6.2 million, divided as follows. To her beloved husband, Robert, the family home, and the sum of $50,000. To her grandson, Marcus, the entirety of Hamilton Construction Company, including all properties, equipment, client contracts, and associated assets. Marcus didn't even try to hide his smile. 50,000. He laughed. Actually laughed. Grandpa, that's what Vanessa spent on her car last month. Vanessa giggled, covered her mouth with those claws. To be fair, the Porsche was necessary. Image matters in business. Harrison's face remained neutral, but I saw his jaw tighten. He looked at me. Something in his eyes. A warning? A question? I couldn't tell. Mr. Hamilton. Harrison gathered his papers. You'll need to sign some transfer documents for the house. Can we schedule a meeting next week? Before I could answer, Marcus interrupted. Actually, Harrison, question about the house. Legally, can we sell it? Like, is there anything preventing Grandpa from selling and using the proceeds for his care? My care. Like I was senile. The house is Robert's to do with as he wishes, Harrison said carefully. Great. Because we found this amazing senior community. Sunrise. Much better for him than rattling around that old place alone. I signed nothing that day. Drove home in silence. Found Mrs. Chen on my porch with a plate of dumplings. You look terrible, she said. Sat down without asking. What happened? I told her everything. The will. Marcus. The 50,000. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she nodded once. Sharp. Decisive. Your grandson is a fool. Your wife was not. She handed me the dumplings. Eat. You need strength for what's coming. She was right. Marcus came back 3 days later with papers, real estate agent contracts, power of attorney forms, brochures for Sunrise Senior Living. Just sign here, Grandpa. He spread everything on my kitchen table. Same table where Margaret and I had eaten breakfast for 40 years. We'll handle everything. Get the house appraised. Listed. You'll be in your new place within a month. I haven't agreed to move. Be reasonable. Vanessa was going through my cabinets, taking inventory. You're not getting younger. This place is too much. 4 bedrooms? You sleep in 1. Use maybe 2 rooms total. It's wasteful. It's my home. It's equity. Marcus pushed the papers closer. 1.9 million. Cash. We put half in a trust for your care. The other half goes to the business. Everybody wins. I don't want to sell. His face changed. The fake concern dropped like a mask. You don't have a choice. You're 68 years old. Alone. Everyone knows you've been getting forgetful. Leaving the stove on, forgetting appointments. I hadn't forgotten anything, but I saw where this was going. Sign the papers or we'll have you evaluated. Get a doctor to say you're not competent to make decisions. He leaned close. Then we'll make the decisions for you. The recording watch captured every word. They came every few days after that. Each visit more aggressive. Vanessa started taking things. Small things. A silver picture frame. Margaret's jewelry box. Just keeping them safe, she'd say. You might forget where they are. I let her take them. Sophie's cameras recorded everything. Week 2, they brought a doctor. Dr. Stephen Palmer. Expensive suit. Expensive car. The kind of doctor who does house calls for people who pay well. Mr. Hamilton, I'm going to ask you some questions. Memory assessment. Nothing to worry about. He had a clipboard. A checklist. What year is it? 2024. Who's the president? I answered every question correctly. Dr. Palmer frowned. Looked at Marcus. He has good days and bad days, Marcus said quickly. Yesterday he couldn't remember where he put his keys. Last week he left the oven on. Could have burned the house down. All lies. The camera in the kitchen proved it. Dr. Palmer wrote notes. Mr. Hamilton seems cognitively intact today. I can't recommend incompetency proceedings based on this assessment. Marcus's face went dark. After the doctor left, he exploded. Swept my coffee cup off the table. It shattered. Margaret's favorite cup. Blue ceramic with yellow flowers. You're doing this on purpose. Trying to make me look bad. His voice was shaking. Rage or fear, I couldn't tell. That company is mine. Grandmother promised me. You're just being a stubborn old man who can't accept that you're not needed anymore. Your grandmother built that company. I kept my voice level. Not you. You've been stealing from it for 2 years. His face went white. Who told you that? Margaret knew. Before she died, she knew everything. Vanessa grabbed Marcus's arm. Let's go. He's delusional. We'll come back when he's thinking clearly. They left. I picked up the pieces of Margaret's cup. Cried for the first time since the funeral. Mrs. Chen appeared within minutes. She had a key. Margaret gave it to her years ago. I heard shouting. I called Sophie. She's on her way. Sophie arrived with her equipment. Downloaded the footage. The audio. Marcus's threat. The broken cup. The accusation of stealing. This is perfect, she said, but her voice was sad. Week 3. They stopped pretending. Marcus showed up with moving boxes. Started packing my things without asking. Vanessa hired an estate sale company. Tagged my furniture with price stickers. You don't need all this old junk. She put a $50 sticker on Margaret's dining table. Walnut. Handmade by my father. Worth thousands. We'll keep a few sentimental pieces for you at sunrise. The rest sells. Get out of my house. It's not your house for long. Marcus was in the garage. Going through my tools. My father's tools. My grandfather's tools. 3 generations of Hamilton contractors. This stuff is vintage. We'll get good money. I called the police. They came. Young officer. Bored. Looked at the will documentation Marcus showed him. Saw that Marcus was inheriting the business. Saw that I was just the old man. Sir, this seems like a civil matter. Family dispute. You'll need to work it out yourselves. After the police left, Marcus got in my face. Close enough I could smell the whiskey on his breath. You're nothing, old man. You were nothing when grandmother was alive. Just the guy who held her hammer. She built everything. You just stood around looking pretty. And now that she's gone, you're in the way. Every word recorded. Every ugly truth he'd been thinking for years finally spoken. Sophie came that night with Mrs. Chen. We watched the footage together. Marcus calling me nothing. Vanessa pricing my life at estate sale values. The boxes, the tags, the contempt. 4 more days, Sophie said. The 30-day period ends Monday. Tuesday morning, I've scheduled a supplemental will reading. Harrison Wade is required to attend. Marcus thinks it's to sign final paperwork transferring the company. He doesn't know what's really coming. That weekend was quiet. Too quiet. Marcus didn't call, didn't visit. I worked in the garden, Margaret's garden, pulled weeds from around her roses. She had planted them when Thomas died. 15 bushes, 1 for each year she had with our son. Sunday night, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed thinking about what would happen. Marcus would lose everything. The company he thought was his. The money he'd already spent in his mind. Vanessa would leave him. That much was obvious. She was only there for the money. And I would be alone with $6 million I never wanted. Margaret had put me in an impossible position. Save myself or save my grandson. But then I remembered the broken coffee cup. The words, "You're nothing, old man," remembered Thomas. My son, working himself to death to build something for his son. And Marcus pissing it away on cryptocurrency and a wife who priced my life in estate sale dollars. Margaret knew. She always knew. The company would destroy Marcus if he got it now. Maybe losing it would save him. Monday morning, Marcus called. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Harrison's office. Final paperwork. Bring your ID. We're making this official. He sounded happy, excited, like a kid on Christmas morning. I showed up at 9:30. Harrison's office. Same conference room as before. Sophie was there. Mrs. Chen, too. She'd been subpoenaed as a witness. Harrison looked tired, sad even. Marcus and Vanessa arrived at 9:55. He wore a new suit. She wore diamonds I'd never seen before. Probably bought on credit against the inheritance. Morning, Grandpa. Marcus was all smiles, pulled out my chair for me. Big day. Ready to make this transition official? Harrison cleared his throat, adjusted his glasses. Thank you all for coming. We're here for a supplemental reading of Margaret Hamilton's will, a provision that couldn't be disclosed until 30 days had passed since her death. Marcus frowned. Supplemental? I thought this was just paperwork. There's an additional clause. Harrison pulled out a sealed envelope, Margaret's handwriting on the front. To be opened only after 30 days of observation. The room temperature dropped. Observation? Vanessa's voice went shrill. What does that mean? Harrison ignored her, broke the seal, read aloud. I, Margaret Hamilton, being of sound mind, do hereby establish the following condition. My grandson, Marcus, was raised with every advantage, every opportunity. I gave him these things out of love. But love without wisdom is indulgence, and indulgence without consequence creates monsters. Marcus stood up. What the hell is this? Sit down, Mr. Hamilton. Harrison's voice was sharp. Command, not request. Marcus sat. If my husband Robert is treated with dignity, respect, and kindness by Marcus in the 30 days following my death, then my original will stands. Marcus receives the company. Robert receives the house and $50,000. Harrison paused, looked at Marcus. However, if documented evidence shows that Marcus displayed coercive, abusive, manipulative, or disrespectful behavior toward Robert during this period, the inheritance is voided. Vanessa went pale. Marcus gripped the table. In the event of such behavior, the entirety of my estate, including Hamilton Construction Company, all properties, investments, and assets totaling $6.2 million, shall transfer wholly to my husband Robert Hamilton. Marcus, in this circumstance, shall receive $50,000, the same amount I initially designated for his grandfather. A reminder that respect cannot be bought, demanded, or inherited. It must be earned. Silence. Then Marcus exploded. This is insane. You can't do this. I'll sue. I'll fight this in court. Sophie stood, opened her laptop. Mr. Hamilton, I'm Sophie Chen, executor of this will. For the past 30 days, as authorized by your grandmother's legal directive, I have been documenting your interactions with your grandfather. She pressed play. The screen showed my living room. Marcus sweeping the coffee cup off the table, his voice clear as day. You're just being a stubborn old man who can't accept that you're not needed anymore. Next clip, Vanessa putting price tags on furniture. You don't need all this old junk. Next clip, Marcus in my face. You're nothing, old man. You were nothing when grandmother was alive. Clip after clip. Every threat. Every insult. Every moment of contempt. 30 days of my grandson, showing exactly who he was when he thought nobody was watching. When it ended, Vanessa was crying. Not sad crying. Angry crying. She turned on Marcus. You idiot. You absolute idiot. You knew this was temporary. I told you to be nice. Just be nice for 1 month. I didn't know. Marcus's hands were shaking. How was I supposed to know she was recording everything? Because you should have been decent regardless. Sophie's voice cut through the room like a blade. That was the whole point. Your grandmother wanted to see who you really were. And you showed her. Harrison gathered the papers. I've consulted with 3 independent attorneys. The conditional clause is legally sound. Ironclad. You can challenge it, Mr. Hamilton, but you'll lose, and waste the $50,000 you have left on legal fees. Marcus looked at me. Really looked at me for the first time in years. Grandpa, please. Don't do this. I made mistakes. I was stressed. Grandmother's death, it messed me up. I didn't mean those things. Every word was a lie. I could see it in his eyes. You called me nothing, I said quietly. You priced my life at an estate sale. You were going to have me declared incompetent to steal my home. I'm your family. Family doesn't do what you did. I'll change. I swear. Give me another chance. I looked at Sophie. At Mrs. Chen. At Harrison. Then back at Marcus. This boy I had raised after his father died. Taught to tie his shoes. To ride a bike. To read blueprints. I had loved him. Still loved him. God help me. But Margaret was right. Love without wisdom is indulgence. The will stands, I said. Vanessa grabbed her purse. Stood up. I'm done. Marcus, we're through. I'm not staying with someone who has $50,000 and a lifetime of debt. She left. Just like that. Walked out of the conference room in her expensive heels and never looked back. Marcus sat there. Broken. What am I supposed to do? What I did, I said. Start over. Learn what matters. Figure out who you are when nobody's giving you everything. I left him there. Walked out into the sunlight. Mrs. Chen took my arm. You did the right thing. Doesn't feel right. It will. Eventually. The months after were strange. I owned a company I never wanted. $6 million I never asked for. Harrison helped me set up trusts. Hire managers. I didn't know how to run Hamilton Construction. Never had. That was Margaret's gift. But I knew how to build things. So I went back to the sites. 70 years old with a hammer in my hand. The crews thought I was crazy. The old owner doing finish carpentry on a housing development. But it felt good. Felt real. I heard through Mrs. Chen that Marcus got a job. Real job. Working construction for a competitor. Started at the bottom. Laborer. Mixing concrete. Hauling lumber. Making $12 an hour. 6 months passed. Then a year. He didn't call. Didn't visit. I figured that was it. I'd saved him from himself, but lost him in the process. Then one Saturday morning, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Marcus on my porch. 30 pounds lighter. Beard grown out. Wearing work boots, covered in concrete dust. Grandpa. His voice was hoarse. Can we talk? I stepped aside. Let him in. We sat at the kitchen table. The same table where he'd spread papers to force me out of my home. He looked around. At the walls I'd repainted. The furniture I'd kept. Margaret's ceramic roosters still on the windowsill. I got fired yesterday, he said. My heart sank. For defending you. He looked at me. Really looked at me. One of the guys was talking shit. Saying how my grandfather stole the family company from me. How you manipulated grandmother. I broke his nose. I didn't know what to say. I've been working construction for 13 months. Saved $11,000. Paid off half my debts. He pulled out a check. Made it out to me. This is $1,000. First payment on what I stole from the company. Going to take me years to pay it all back. But I'm going to do it. I pushed the check back. Keep it. I can't. You can. Use it to start over. For real this time. He broke down then. Cried like he hadn't cried since he was small and his father died. I held him like I did back then. Patted his back. Let him empty it out. I'm sorry. His voice was muffled against my shoulder. I'm so sorry, Grandpa. You deserved better. Dad deserved better. Grandmother deserved better. You can still be better, I said. That's what she wanted. Not to punish you, to wake you up. He pulled back, wiped his face. Did it work? I looked at this man, my grandson, covered in honest dirt for the first time in his life. Humble, broken, but maybe finally ready to be built into something real. Yeah, I said. I think it did. We had coffee, talked for hours. About Thomas, about Margaret, about the company, and whether Marcus wanted to learn it for real this time. Not as an heir, as an apprentice. I'd like that, he said, if you'll teach me. It'll take years. You'll start at the bottom, same as everyone else. I know. You'll get dirty, break your back, work until you can't feel your hands. Good, he smiled. Small, real. I need to earn it. 2 years later, Marcus runs a crew for Hamilton Construction. Not the company. A crew. He's good at it. Patient. Careful. The men respect him because he works harder than anyone. Vanessa remarried. Some tech millionaire. I heard she's happy. I hope she is. Mrs. Chen still brings me dumplings every Sunday. We eat them in the garden, among Margaret's roses. Sophie Chen, made partner at her firm, still drives that beat-up Honda, still uses the world's okayest lawyer mug. And me? I'm 72 now. Still working. Still building. The company will go to Marcus eventually. When he's ready. When he's earned it. Not because his last name is Hamilton, but because he's learned what his grandmother tried to teach him. Respect isn't inherited. It's earned. But dignity? That's yours from birth. You just have to remember not to give it away. If this story touched you, leave a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. And remember, it's never too late to rebuild. Not a company, not a relationship, not yourself. Like and subscribe to Obsidian Vengeance for more stories of real people facing real tests, finding strength they didn't know they had. And to anyone out there being told they're nothing, being counted out, being priced at estate sale values, you're worth more than they'll ever understand. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise.